she'll start.
Hi, Subi. We are live now.
Hello, Rajini.
Hi, Subi. Hello from India, and many, many happy Diwali festival wishes to all at you, your family, your office, and your country.
Thank you, and the same to you too. I hope you had a great Diwali celebration.
Yeah, we did had a lovely celebration. So I would like to introduce you to the audience that today we have a very interesting topic for the youth, which is called unidentified IDs. There are two different extreme IDs of the life. One is the life and another is the worries. And we always juggle between life and worries. So we have a writing genie, Subi, with us, closely connected since 4 to 5 years now on LinkedIn and various platforms. Subi comes with a very rich experience of 25 years as a chartered accountant, and she has worked with senior corporate roles, handling multifunctional and disciplines across and with different business units. She is passionate about writing and empowering life take control of their destinies. To fulfill the aim, she writes extensively and she helps the students to help their career counseling. She is the CEO of the company called Stridez Private Limited since 6 years now. She brings insights into many elements of the life for people's heart and mind. So, Subi, in one of your, I remember because I've read your post very regularly on LinkedIn since 4 5 years, and I think I'm one of your regular customer also, you can say. And I remember 1 year down the line that still remains in my mind is about you have written about a portrait me and my younger self, which talks about very lovely keywords from being obedient to very a lively girl to an ordinary soul to speaking in codes. And then you talk about your my current life, and then you talk about to make meaning to describe life. So, I remember also a quote which always says to ask questions. And as a child, I've always been a very curious person. And I believe that asking questions is more helpful than, getting the answers. So when I interact the youth today, I find they're too confused and they are not into the universal realities. So this post connects me very closely with them. And I believe that people who accept their emotions and vulnerability and harshness are greater find a greater way through the life. So what is your thought about?
Yeah, so I'll take vulnerability first. For me, I think vulnerability is very important as you progress through life. Yes, so because I had a conversation with a young person a few days ago where she was really worried going into a new job. She wanted to know everything. She didn't want to look stupid. She wanted to be in charge. But that's not going to happen when you're going into a new organization. Everything is new. You just have to ask the question, say you don't know. The only thing is you don't keep repeating the questions. You
Right.
ask for information, absorb it, and try and apply yourself to it. And I think the next thing is making mistakes is not an issue. It's not going to make you vulnerable so much that they will somebody is going to exploit that. But when you make mistakes, think of two things. One is, what can I learn out of this and how do I prevent it? So
Okay.
when you show that you know how to learn from your mistakes and grow from them, the people around you have so much confidence that this person will not drop the ball permanently. So I remember going into multiple big projects, especially into domains that I had no experience, and I was leading a project then. Then I had no trouble in saying, I have no clue as to what needs to happen here, guys. Help me. Yeah. So I think once you show your vulnerability like that, people are more open to help you as well, because they feel important and they feel connected with you. So vulnerability is
This
a
is
good thing to show.
Yes. So when you say vulnerability is good thing to show, we have a lot of things in life that matters, from micro to mini, and from ordinary to exciting. Many things are there in life matters a lot. So your life in your 20s, if you look back, and you see that, of course, when many things matters, we themselves don't know what really matters, what really doesn't matter, and we do make mistakes. So if you look back in your life in your 20s, uh, what are the two lessons in your 20s you learned after committing a mistake?
Committing a mistake. Um, I think I went through teachers training college and fronted up to teach people in the fifth form, sixth form, and seventh form, which is 15, 16, and 17-year-olds. And what I learned was not to bore them with too much technicality when you're explaining a technical subject like accounting. Make it really interesting. Yes. And also this was way back when I was in New Zealand, when they weren't not used to seeing a brown person coming as a teacher. And I was pretty young as well. So I think they started calling me interesting names as well. So one thing I learned then was, initially I was a bit taken aback and got a bit ruffled. Later on, I knew that was a mistake. They knew that I was getting agitated, so they were trying to disrupt the class. But later on, I thought that was not the way to go. So I used to, when they played up, I said, not today, guys. Let's concentrate on something and tell them a joke and try and connect with them, be one with them. And like these big island boys, they used to come and say, Miss, today we are going to throw you out the window. And they're quite bigger than me as well at that stage. So at that point, I knew I had to keep control. And I said to them, that's okay. You can throw me out of the window after we finish the class. And I made them laugh. So you've
Wow.
got to connect with the people that are around you, especially when they are not used to your cultural background. They've not seen a brown person, right? And this is how you have to make sure that you're making connections. So later on, when I moved through the corporate and had leadership positions, I made it a point to understand the culture they come from. Okay, and made sure that I made connections to them and made them feel proud of who they are and what they are and what they brought to the organization. So
So
that way we were able to connect.
connection is very critical, and we learn our own lessons of connecting with people, maybe I think at the right age. It happens with all of us, even with me also. But in the journey, because we are human beings and we are known for our emotions and intellect, in the journey sometimes our emotions get so hurt that we sometimes, especially with youth, I've seen they are so sensitive, though they are sensible also, they are strong also, they can never forgive some people, even they know that by thinking about them, they are going to hurt themselves. It
Yep.
has happened during the counseling sessions also, and they harm themselves. Wouldn't it be easier to just let go, which we also know is the approach? So, what is your suggestion that how should we let go for the youth here? And also, youth have a question that why letting go is so hard.
Yep. Yep. So I think this is where we have to learn to respond and not react.
Okay.
Yeah. So when somebody hurts us, we are thinking about, okay, why did that person do this? Why did they do that to me? Why me? And why can't I take revenge? So you have all these negative thoughts that are taking you in a downward spiral. And the more you dig, the more miserable you get. So it is easier to say, let go, respond. So I think first thing is, I was speaking to a more mature person last couple of days, and they were saying a lot of life coaches are coming into organizations and they are saying to people, you got to be positive, you got to have a more positive mindset, this not to have negativity. If you have negativity, you don't have productivity, all that kind of stuff. And they were getting quite frustrated because nobody was acknowledging their frustration
Right.
and yeah, and their anger in what is happening. So I think their point was, we've got to acknowledge that, and we are mature enough to understand what reality is, and let's leverage that instead of saying ignore it. So I think the first thing is to acknowledge, accept that you are having emotions and
Yes,
not sweep it under the carpet.
yes, because let the you're right, because it's very important for you to make it. It's okay to feel what you feel. It's okay
Yes.
to have the emotions, to react or to understand, because it's your emotions, it's about your
Yep.
life. But yes, we need to channelize them into logical way. I think the moment you're right, when we acknowledge and we appreciate what they're going through, then they will give their ears to hear us. Because we do not want the youth to be an emotionally, puppetry them, and they should know that they need to be acting more logically. So what is your suggestions that how should youth act logically?
Acting logically. So it's easier said than done. I think, first of all, you accept it. And I think writing, if you are able to write, I'm a writer, so I think writing is a good thing. Some people may feel they need to talk to somebody. So
Right.
find a mentor who might be a bit older than you, or somebody who's gone through these life experiences, who is able to give you that listening ear, which really gives you the space to express yourself. Yeah, so some people, they need somebody else to express. The others might just have a writing journal where they're really putting everything on the paper. And I've also heard that symbolically you can light it and make a fire out of it. So you're actually burning your emotion. You're letting it go physically. Or you have this other person who helps you. And then, of course, then you look at, now that's behind you, what is the reality? So you understand where you are at the moment, where you want to go in the future, and you choose options. How do I get over this? Yeah, the hurt and the harm. What can I do to reduce that impact and make sure some positivity comes in? So if you just say you think positive, people won't. Then it's full of that.
So this is a very, very funny top point you have brought, which is not a part of this conversation, but yes, because a lot of trainers, coaches have come, be positive, have the growth mind. But how to have is something which a youth look for, right?
Sorry, what was that? I didn't quite catch
Be
it.
positive, have a growth mindset. Everyone speaks most, but
Yes,
you need to have a right mentor and coach who will tell you that how to be positive, how to
correct.
have a growth mindset. That is
Yeah.
very critical in the journey of a youth, especially because it's making of a life. So as you said rightly, that they should have a short-term goals, they should have a long-term goals.
And look
So
at the options, and they should work it out themselves, though they might have a mentor or coach, because a coach is never going to be that person. And let's admit it, we are a generation away, and these guys have lots of choices, lots of choices. They
absolutely.
know what, they're tech savvy, they know what is happening in the world, they know what they want. So it is best for them to work it out what they want to do, as opposed to guidance. I hear a lot of people reach out to me and say, please guide me to something. But I can't guide them because they are there and I'm here, and my life experience is something else. So they need to ask these questions. I can help them ask questions, they need to answer and work out what their strengths are, what they should achieve, and how they want to go about it and execute. And in we're talking to people in India, so I think in the subcontinent there are a lot of people who offer advice. Some of it is not welcome. They probably tell you what to do, how to do, and when to do it, and that really irritates young people because they have other visions. And I think this is where they have to take control, and they have to decide where they want to go and how they want to do, with a mentor or coach who can help them with the process.
Yes, I feel that you're right in approach that when you're talking about a mentor and a coach, also we should have the mindset of the mentor and a coach in the sync with the current youth, because yes, you as you rightly said, today's youth are into disruptive world full of tools, technology, new avenues are there. They are into a mindset of entrepreneurship, innovations.
Hustling.
So how much a coach understand that and be at their shoes or at their level will be, I think, a best pal or a best friend way of a coach or a mentor, which youth in today's world look forward to talk about. Today itself in the evening, three of the students from a college who have joined organization, one has started a startup, is coming over at my place to wish me the festival. So they sync with the thought process what they have. I sync with them to understand the emotions. So that's what we do, Subi, at the Your Soul. So we let the youth to write, we let the youth to share their stories, we let the
Yep.
youth to share their pain problems, because they come from a financial problems, they come from a family issues, they come from a study pressure, they come from a expectation or a performance management pressure, which comes, they come with a notion of a status sigma or a social norms of earning pack of six number or seven number or different. So in that way, we believe that career counseling has become very important aspect, not to be done in 2 years or 3 years of time. I think it cannot be done, because the career trajectory which I took, even clearing the forces or working for studied for the medical, but then I landed up into a conscious choice which I took when I understood that I think I'll be best in this area of education segment. So especially for youth who have multiple resources today, and they stay engaged on social medias, which actually also have in this disruptive time, which actually deviates their mind, deviates their thought process, deviates their action. How do you think, or how does this affect their career decisions? Because too much exposure is also not a good way of making a conscious and a right choice in your career decisions. And from which age, according to you, the career decisions or the career orientation should start?
So I have lived in Australia and New Zealand for so long. I can speak about the young people here. I think the career choices have to start when they're around 16, unfortunately, because that's when they select the subjects they want to take for university entrance. I think you have to experiment taking a wider section of subjects to understand your strengths, and also try and do some work experience. I don't know about India whether they allow school kids to come in and do work experience in colleges, in companies, or in organizations. Here they do for a week or so, just to understand what it's like in that particular field, and to talk also to people who are in the field to explain what their daily job looks like and what are the pressures, what do they enjoy. So they have a bit more feel before they actually select the course. As you know, selecting courses in university is quite expensive,
Right.
and time also goes. I have seen people who start, and within about 1 year they decide this is not for me, and then they start all over again with another degree. And by this time they have spent a lot of money, effort, and they're getting quite frustrated. Parents are on their tails as well. So it is a lot of pressure. So I think the earlier they start to know about themselves and really know thyself, and really explore their passions and get as many internships as they can earlier in the piece, even though they haven't finished their degrees. Early in the piece, the internships will tell you what you don't want as opposed to what you want. I had a lot of people who came through when I was in the big organization. They say healthcare, pharmaceuticals, great, we want to look at it. So 1 week we get them in, and then they look at regulatory quality and all these regulations and protocols. So this is not for me. So I think you experiment as much as you can, go around and get not only looking at YouTube and understanding it from people in the industry, from your age group, understand what it's all about, and also try little bits of hard skills as well to see whether it actually flows naturally for you, because data analytics and business analytics, the writing code, all that is hard skills. And getting a little exposure of little bits of this or finance or whatever, and deciding, oh, that's not really gelling with me, I'm finding it really hard to comprehend this, something else might be really working well, so they can get really good grades. It's very important to get good grades and also get good experience before you're in the job market looking for a job. So to answer your question as early as possible, I know it's confusing, but try as many avenues as you can so you decide on what is going to make sense for you. Because sometimes what you think is a passion might wane over time.
But the question is, Subi, how early?
How early? I would say 16, 17 at least. At
Okay,
least.
okay. I am an advocate of starting this from the school level, and I think from the grade sixth or fifth itself, very early age of budding, because kids are into more of project making and progress way of learning, and they do a lot of hands-on experience and stuff and all. And I think that number of times they experiment, they design, they fail. It's fine because there is no loss. Some learning will happen. There is no loss at all in doing anything, and they
Knowing
can
what
get.
you don't want to do.
Yes. So suppose they like 15 things to do. The moment they reach class 8th or 9th or 10th, they know, okay, out of 15 things, I like only these 7 things. So they are channelizing their skill levels and the area of interest. Now, when they move to 10th, after 10th or 12th, now out of these 7, when they are doing their own projects or studying very religiously and being focused and having the mentors around them, the right, and working on various projects, then they come back to a streamline of 3 courses maybe. So actually, we are giving a span of 7 to 8 years for them to understand their real focus of interest, because as the cognitive development also taking place and the development of the student till class 10th and 12th happens. So I think I advocate basically at the schools that
Cool.
start
Yeah.
from 6th onward, because it's always, there is no loss, there is no harm. They will enjoy the journey. They will know what they are. Parents will know, also get focused into today's world to know the new developments, new things, and the possibilities which even the parents are not aware of that the kids can
No.
do. And then after 12th, yes, now I know these are my 3 or 4 focused area. Then get a career counselors, get the counseling done, but with the proper mentor who comes from the segment. And then, as you rightly said, they should during the school also have field trips to the companies or the corporates, or during the 12th or the college days also have internships and work on the functional sides or the projects at the corporate level as a small projects. So they get the feeler of actually within the subject also they have specializations. Within the subject also they have specialization, so they have to also then get a feeler of to choose which specialization. So in graduation I'm as an open book, so when I'm going to my post graduation or further, then I know, okay, I want to choose this my specialization. So me coming from a science background, I was very curious towards genetics and all, so I knew at the last year of my graduation that I have to go into a specialization of biotechnology. So I choose genetics as my specialization. So similarly, kids get a, so basically it's narrowing down your interest and channelizing in the right way is this. So doing all this to be, it's not in a year or couple of years. If you start from 6 years, so it's like 7 years, and then 4 years more to the college. So 11 to 12 precious years without any harm or wasting anything. I think that tenure is good enough, but managing that thing and with patience and perseverance, because we are again handling the emotions, and time to time giving tonics to the youth and handling their emotions, we also need to have a set of good routine with the kids. So what according to you is a good routine for the youth, especially the age group which you mentioned about 16 to 21? What's a good
That's
routine?
that's quite a hard question, isn't it? So from what I can see, getting them to concentrate on what they need to do and work out 1 or 2 hours at least to have clear of all distractions, social media, chit chats, even looking at gaming, uh, all that, to clear that out, to concentrate on 2 or 3 hours, at least 3 hours, to get all this out of their way and really focus on what they need to achieve and what they want to get into their heads is quite important. But you have to work out which times that you choose, after school, before school, and when it is easier on them, where they don't have too much of interruptions from their friends or other things. So from what I can see, it is when they have a lot of networks and friends online, to get away from them and to say I'm blocked off for some time, it is quite hard for the young people, because I think the fear of missing out is also big. So I think this is where you have to build the mental stamina to have that strength to say, okay, I'm going to block this out, I'm going to concentrate, these are the things, have a list, write them down, tick it off, and say you have a sense of productivity and achievement.
So lovely, you use the word productivity, because my next question was on that. It's not for only for like youth in 20s and 30s, for us also. Like, a question which I often ask to myself, even my student asks me, ma'am, can I be more productive by being restless about productivity? Can I be more productive by being restless about productivity? And how do we set right expectations from a work day?
So I think that's a good one. I think you have to break down what you need to do. No point stressing. Break it down into small, manageable steps and think I'll do one step at a time, and knock them off one by one, and have a little bit of a celebration when you knock down each little milestone. I think it's always good, because I've worked on big projects. When you see a big project, you freak out saying, oh my God, so much to do, and how do I do it? I think, first of all, break it down and say, okay, I need to do this much for this day, and this is what I will achieve in my 3 hours that I have put aside to work today. And make sure that you're achieving that one by one. So
So
I
setting,
think,
yes, setting own deadlines and setting own turnaround time with
correct,
micro works is very, very
micro,
important. Making
and
them
celebrating when you achieve them as well. So
right.
you're motivated to go a little bit further, and making sure that you're doing a little bit more every day. It's always small incremental improvements will help you over time. I think that is the key to it all. And like I said, not to get frustrated or stressed by a huge mountain, break it down. Always break it down, and always think, what can I learn out of everything? That's your mindset all the time.
I think accepting also, and also acknowledging that small milestone achieved is also success. The big
Yep.
results which you are looking for is not immediate. You're working towards the journey,
Yep.
producing something, and all small success, when you compile together, becomes a larger success one day. That's how the life and the journey is all about.
Yes, that's exactly right.
So
Yep.
bringing back to that, Subi, I have still one question left for you. Then I'll move forward for a rapid quiz questions with you limited options. Something striking your thoughts and your insights in journey which you should know about. Just want to understand from you, and in fact, the youth should know, what do you mean by an ordinary soul?
Sorry, by ordinary
What
soul.
what do you mean by an ordinary soul, and then a lively girl? This is very interesting, because this is the fundamental of my life as well, being an ordinary soul but a lively, cheerful, graceful girl, female, we carry. So from your mouth, from your words, what you would like to share to the youth, why it is important to be an ordinary soul yet lively by nature?
Yes. Yeah. So for me, I think I rose up the corporate ladder and was in a chief operating officer. role for a long time, 10 years. It was very important for me to reach out to everybody on the ground level, to understand their pain, to understand how they operated. I wanted to connect with everybody. So being an ordinary person for me was connection with everybody at the ground level, and to laugh. I think laughing was very important, and they could hear my laugh around the corridors in the organization, and I would even crack jokes in serious strategy meetings or business review meetings, which sometimes the Germans, they like to have everything structured, but I think I crack jokes, and they would also participate in that, because I think they knew we had to all, if you just concentrate on work and no fun, then you become so dull. So I think that's important for me as well.
That add like a tonic, you say, have your structured framework, have your deadlines, but with a little flavor and tonic of humor, being
That's
witty
right.
and fun while you're doing something which ease the burden, and we say you can fly better.
That's
And
right. And laughing and joking around and camaraderie is so important when you're under stress.
right.
So I think for me that is important.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So it's very important for the youth to understand that it's a life journey is too long. There are two endpoints from your birth to when you part ways. The life is to all live about what you do good to people, to good to yourself, how you leave your footprints, and success is all about satisfaction. So be coming to certain questions on a very rapid fire. First one is, I that's for you. When I say I means you here, I find myself getting upset by quite trivial things. You have only three options here. Did not apply to me at all, applied to some extent, sometime, applied to me very much, or most of the time.
Sometimes.
Sometimes, of
I'm
course,
still human.
yes. So this is very important to accept. Yes, it can happen. We can be at extreme at times. We can be subtle at times, based on of the emotional level and what we are going through in our life. That's very important. And how often you tend to overreact to the situation when you were in your 20s. So options remains the same. Did not apply to me. Apply to some extent, sometime. Apply to me very much, or most of the time.
Very much. I used to be a crybaby.
Oh, okay.
I would, if anybody was out of control or did something injustice, I would burst into tears, but the tears dried up. Well into the 30s, and now it doesn't happen anymore. So it's okay. When you're young, you are full of energy and emotion. But I think with life experience, it just evaporates.
So it evaporates, but I think it's good to open up or share your emotions in the early times. It's easier for you to
Yes, yes, for
realize.
sure, for sure.
Yes. So this is what I have learned now. I have always been a very quiet, keeping all my emotions intact to myself. Now I have learned to express it. So because I want my later 40s and 50s to be much more happier. So what advice you're giving to the youth I'm following now? So third question is, what is your sleep like at the moment? Not longer than 7-8 hours, not longer than 10 hours, or not longer than 12 hours.
Not longer than 7 years, I would say, 7 to 8 maximum.
In your 20s?
20s, oh, that's a good question. 4 to 5 hours as well sometimes.
Okay, okay.
I'm a bit more relaxed now.
Right. Okay, that's interesting. So feeling sad is a normal part of life, and sadness is an important part also of healthy full range of emotions. Sadness is always considered not as negative, but I believe that sadness is a healthy part, a fulfilled range of emotions, because then you can realize what is happiness, then you can realize what is goodness or positive. How often do you feel sad, down, blue, or hopeless? Never. Less than, less than half the time, more than half the time, nearly all the time.
Less than half the time. When I see people in trouble, I feel sad.
Okay. So it's that you're empathetic. That's good. A very important key factor for the youth, that empathy is very important. It says what you feel for others, people also will feel for you. It's the reciprocity the life brings to you. Uh, Another very interesting question. Life is full of annoyances like ATM query, ATM queues, football unpins, and telemarketers calling us every day. On occasions, these annoyances can turn into anger at times. So, how easily you get anger? So, options are not easily. Some things make me angered, but I am able to control my temperament. Third is I don't show anger, but if I do, watch it out. And fourth is I fly off the handles easily.
The second one, I control as much as I can, but sometimes it's getting better. I'm actively working on controlling those buttons that not to be pressed.
Okay. So this is just out
It's
of
a
the box.
long journey to
It's just
control anger.
yes, yes, of course. Just out of the box questions, but yes, somewhere the status quo and the social norms have changed, and we have come into we have come into, like, in Australia, drinking is the time honored way for blokes to unwind hard days work. Getting totally maggoted, however, is not actually. So if you drink, how much you drink?
I
That's
don't
the
drink. I don't
okay.
drink.
Awesome, awesome. And
I never have drunk. Managed to live in Australia without drinking as well.
uh,
And I have worked for Germans who are into a lot of drinking as well. And they said, come on, it's only wine, you can do it. But I said, no, I can function without it. Luckily, I
right.
think they do respect you if you have these kinds of beliefs or values. I think they respect you more when you stand by them instead
So
of
this is
having to
something.
please the other people,
Yes,
just drinking to show that you're one of them. You become one of them by working with them, with camaraderie, to understanding, connecting. You don't have to drink. And
absolutely. This is very important, fundamental for youth and everyone to understand. You have to connect with people with your thoughts, emotions, and understanding, not by a force or way. If someone really likes you and wish you to connect, they will be humble enough and to respect your way of life, your way of thoughts about your life. So never
yes,
feel that you are ever low in your life the way you carry your life. So carry
yep,
your life with all courage and confidence and live a
correct.
truly authentic life. So, Subi, one last question. Very What's your future life like? Still the future is a lot of things are there, so what is your future life like?
My future life, I think
Yes.
footloose and fancy free.
Okay,
And
okay.
write whatever I like. I
Okay.
think, and travel, hopefully when pandemic is over, travel to places that I haven't seen before, connect with lots and lots more cultures, and
Wow.
really understand the world.
Yes, because Subi comes from Sri Lanka, and 30 years down the line, she moved to New Zealand, now Australia. So she's very culturally diversified. And I know, Subi, I've seen your pictures. You went to Egypt and all. So it's very important to travel and meet people. So you become culturally sound, more on a human ground, to understand life from a different perspective, and understand life from a thought which you want to see yourself. So Subi, with this, very interesting share about your journey when you were in 20s now, and some messages to the youth, the insights. Anyone who cannot, I believe, that cannot come in terms with their life while he's alive needs one hand to ward off a little his despair over his fate, while the other hand, he can note down what he sees among the ruins. So let the effort continues. Be honest to yourself. Look for what you are looking for in your life. Club the support from the people and the mentors, where Subi says that right mentors, reach out to them, club with them. So we at Source Your Soul Soup is there to get you all your questions answered. to support you in your best. Stridez Private Limited from Australia is also there to guide you and counsel. You can write to us, reach out to us, and set up your life directions in a right way. So, Subi, thank you so much for being a part of the lovely interaction and sharing your thoughts and insights, sitting across the worldwide. That's the beauty of the social media.
Yes.
And really honored and pleasure to hear you. And a lot of youth have been listening to you across. And we really look forward that they have gained some insights to think about their life once again. And so please reach out to us. And thank you, Subi, for a
Thank
lovely
you. Thank you
share.
for
And
having me. It was
thank you so
vanakkam.
much. Sat Shri Akal, Namaste, and Adab, everything to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.